Welcome to the Mojo for Musicians podcast from Manny Cabo Media, where we dig deep into today's top strategies to help you take your music career to the next level, along with real, raw, and uplifting conversations with industry professionals that are making moves, making a difference, and making the best versions of themselves to inspire you to do the same. And for all of our Mojo Maniacs out there, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you like what you hear, please be sure to give us a positive review on your favorite listening platform. Support for the Mojo for Musicians podcast comes from Stedman, tools for the studio and beyond, because your voice deserves to be heard. Sennheiser, inspired by music. And Cranium, scientifically designed products for bald, shaved, and buzzed heads. So get your head in the game and own your dome. And now, here's your host, Manny Cabo. All right, Mojo Maniacs, welcome back to another episode of Mojo for Musicians. Episode 51 to be exact. Man, that's crazy. And I want to thank all of you guys for continuously listening, of course, and my sponsors at Stedman, Sennheiser, and Cranium for allowing these shows to be possible and allowing me to get incredible guests like the one we have here today. I was really enthralled by her backstory, I must say. She's traveled a rough road. To say that is actually a little understatement, and I use one of her quotes, which I truly love. She's had a life that would scare an outlaw straight. And I don't know about you, man. I know outlaw country, right? As you can hear her evidence by the giggles in the background. That's pretty intense, but she has some radio success back in 2017 with one of her releases, Boomerang, which I happen to love. And she's been playing the violin since she was 6, writing since she was 8, and not under the most pleasant conditions, if you will. So that's going to be something I'm certainly going to touch upon. And she was influenced by her mom, who was also a piano player. To me, I think you're going to love her voice when you start listening to her music. I think personally she's got a little cross between Miranda and a little Reba, and even some Loretta Lynn in there thrown in somewhere. But I'll let you guys be the judge for yourselves. Let's bring on to the show the beautifully talented Rachel Stacy. What's up, Rachel? How are you? And welcome to Mojo.
What's up? Yay. Thank you, Manny. This is awesome. Thank you for that great introduction. Scary and peaceful at once.
Yeah, it really is enthralling. It was certainly intriguing for me when I read about you, but it's a testament of who you are. I love the resilience, especially nowadays. You and I both know, you more than me, of course, the difficulty that it's been being a woman nowadays. I can't believe that I'm even uttering that from my mouth. Not to mention the music industry. That's like a double whammy. It's difficult for all of us, but excruciatingly difficult for females. So first of all, thank you for donating your time, for coming onto the show, and just talking about you and your career and your hardships, your journeys, the whole 9 yards.
Well, it's so funny until I hear someone say that, my bio stuff or my background, because, I am the public, and, I did do a big article about kind of my sobriety and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which I'm going to touch on, by the way. I'm going to touch on. So don't
okay,
disclose too much.
I'll ruin it. We won't ruin it. But it was like when I hear people say that, when I hear like how far I've come and stuff like that, it's just, I guess, and the women in the industry, it's so funny. When I first started the industry, I was such a tomboy. I didn't notice. I just didn't notice. And boy, and my first couple tours, I was like, whoa.
That's great.
It really was. And it's way different now that some of the women are really paving a different way, but it's still the same. So it's really cool to hear you say that.
Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But you have managed to cross those barriers successfully. And even though you've had some hardships, and I know we all do, but you've been pretty transparent about them. You had a pretty abusive stepdad growing up. That can't be pleasant at all. Fortunately, you had an amazing mother figure in your life, which introduced you to music and how to represent yourself. But also with your battle with the devil's nectar, if you will. I know I still do. I love a good glass of bourbon, so it's really difficult, right? Especially in this industry. It's the influence is always around you. I can't perform one song without getting a tray of shots being handed at me.
Yep.
So I get it. It's difficult, and it's so easy to get wrapped up in that lifestyle.
Right.
But let's delve into this because I'm really, really
Okay.
excited to have some heartfelt dialogue about some really interesting topics and topics that sometimes may seem to be taboo that many artists refrain from talking about either because of their insecurities or because they're embarrassed. And me, I don't really
Mhm.
care. I never
Mm-mm.
cared about people's opinions. And I think we're cut from the same cloth. In reading about
Mm.
you and talking to you and listening to your music, I can honestly, well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, we're both in similar trains of thought, right?
Oh, very much. Very much. It gets me into trouble way more than it
Yeah,
should.
no, I hear you. I hear you. Plenty of empathy on that part. So I love the fact that your hardships, of course, as I just alluded to, from those hardships, you've developed this strong affinity to inspire other artists, not just the youth, right? But people our age. I'm older, I'm 52.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I know you touched on this, and this is why I truly appreciate you because, as they say, age is nothing but a number. And the only people that can impose these limitations on us are ourselves, right?
Ourselves. Exactly.
It truly is. And I know that. And you mentioned in passing that your goal is to keep inspiring women, of
Of
the older generation,
all
Gen
ages.
X or
Yeah.
anything above, right? So talk to me
Right.
about that. I know that sometimes it affects people differently. Some people just want to crawl in a little corner and be like, I can't, this is too much. Where me, like you, I'm sure, and I'm sure your answer is going to exude this, but I take that as a challenge. The more you tell me no, the more I
Yeah.
rise. So please elaborate on that. Elaborate on your perspective and how did this derive, to get you to this point of no, I need to bring and uplift my fellow females in the industry.
I think it's because what's interesting about me saying that I didn't
Yeah.
notice that the female side of it, at least in my non-musical world, I noticed I was a you know I was an athlete. I was um I always a
Yeah.
musician. I was in the dance world, and well, that's where you dominate as a female. But I watched even the men get revered the minute a man's a dancer. So I kind of grew up with it. So I think it started when I'm kind of a martyr. I was earlier when I was kind of watching some friends get picked on because whatever. And I decided to, you know, for me, take that example and move forward with saying, you know what? Um, if I become an artist the way I want to, or stand up for myself, they can follow along
Right.
too. When you're a cheerleader, you are the example of the high school, right?
Right. I was a
Okay.
cheerleader too in high school. I completely get it.
I see, I'm telling you, we're from the same cloth. I'm telling you. So let me tell you this. The crazy part about that cheerleader thing. Okay, I was a cheerleader, and don't get too excited for a second. I was probably the only cheerleader kicked off the squad for punching a girl in the face.
You
So
know what?
it's like,
It doesn't surprise me, man. Talking to somebody, and I have to say this, your early on influences were Lucinda Williams and Chrissy Hind. They're like the rebels of Rockstar, so it doesn't surprise me. But go ahead,
I
continue.
wanted to be them. I know. Well, and it's funny because
And I love them both, by the way.
I did too. But the reason I was a cheerleader is because I wanted to fit in,
Right.
or I wanted to be part
Of
of.
course.
Correct. But here's the deal: my principal, who I looked up to, sat in front of me. He goes, "You are an example to all of
Mm,
these people." You and he humiliated me. I was just sat in front of him in tears because I disappointed this person I respected so
yeah.
much. And I think that was kind of pivotal for me to go, I need to be an example. I'm not saying I did it right. Believe me, especially
Oh,
we'll
oh,
talk
you
about my
think I
sobriety later.
did? Please, come on. Go ahead.
I did not do it right, but I think I always I get part of something and I become like, I have to save the world. But the point is, fast forward what you're asking
Yeah.
me is I feel like the being an example for females really started in my career when I watched me literally get torn down because I was a
Yeah.
woman. And I hate to, and just we're talking 15 years
Yeah.
ago, where they're like, I'd show up somewhere and they're like, yeah, we don't book women here. I'm
It's
not kidding
crazy.
you. I go, oh, you're our first woman to play
It's
here. I'm like, what?
crazy.
Are we in the dark
Yeah,
ages?
and they blatantly
And then
admit it too. That's what it just it
yes,
baffles me. It's like nothing.
I know. Exactly. And here's the thing too. I'll never forget, and I can't say names because that's something I will not do
Okay.
publicly. I was taken off two large shows, two large shows. One I had a contract for, one I was just in negotiations with the agents. You ready for this?
Please hit me.
I was too strong of a female artist.
Too strong. Wow, that's a cop out.
Yes.
What the hell does that mean? You know, you remind me of my friend Megan. She was my rocker buddy. I used to call her bestie. We performed a lot. She was on season 6 of The Voice. I was on season 9, but we collaborated in Nashville because we're both rockers.
Right.
And guys, I can't tell you how many times, if she had $1 for every time she was presented with the whole, you know what, I'm too intimidated by you. You know, you come across as very dominant. I'm like, what the hell kind of thing to say is that? Does that mean that you're just insecure enough? You know, coming from a guy, that's insulting for me, you know, but I don't understand how you even defend that posture, because it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, and here's the thing that I think, and sometimes my interviews, I'm always like, oh crap, I'm probably gonna have to put my foot in my mouth.
No. Listen, no holds barred here. This is a really sensitive topic. It's a toxic narrative, so I want to hear it specifically from somebody in the industry. So go for it. This is actually a learning experience for the other females listening.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing: there's really nothing you can do if they, because someone's like, oh, it's just probably because you weren't very good or whatever, whatever. But the real people, it was the male management. One was a large female, and she had no say so in it, and then the other one was another guy band, not a band, it was a festival, and if you saw the lineup, there were no females that day at all, and I got literally, it was wild, and it was in my younger career, but it was that second one with the female that I was supposed to do a show with, and they took me off of it after a contract, and then I said, we actually talked about suing because it wasn't fair. And they said, if you sue, you'll never work in the industry again. So it was like, I was like this little girl, like, okay, well, that sucks. But I guess, and I do believe in karma. I also believe that things happen for a reason. And maybe that happened, that was supposed to happen for me to share it with you, Manny.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'll never forget. That was another pivotal moment of being an example. I'm like, you know what? Okay. As well as I do, an artist, you know what I'm talking about. A big concert comes out, and I've opened for people, and I've been the concert. I've also been the headliner. Okay, I open for people. The lights aren't as big. The smoke's not coming up.
You know what I'm talking about. Turn up the vocals. You can barely hear me. Oh yeah.
You barely hear the vocals, but when the big act comes out, it's like, I made a vow that day to, no matter what, when I ask people to open for me or whatever, I make sure they are very good. And not even, I've had, not so good, but I'm saying that what I mean is I am not intimidated to have someone who's better than me in front of me, because that person in front of me makes me better.
Absolutely.
It only makes me better. Like every guy in my band is way more skilled than me. Why? Because I want to be them. I want to be the weakest link, even though I'm strong. And so I learned that from those situations, of those male dominated situations, to be different. And, I'm a female, first of all, so I have a little bit of an emotional side. I don't know if you know about that, but I mean, when like, you kind of get it, right?
I do.
But it was like, I guess when the male dominance starts happening in the industry, which everybody knows, like Brandy Carlisle and Marin and all this stuff, that they're kind of standing up for everything. Women can get cliquey too and leave out other women.
Oh, absolutely. So
it's just the industry going, let's just all succeed. And here's the way I was taught early on, and you're going to love this. Lemmy from Motorhead, Lem from Stray Cat.
Rest in peace, Lemmy. We miss you, man. Go ahead.
We RIP, buddy. But he, first of all, I tell this story at all my interviews. Lemmy and Slim, I used to play at the Cat Club in Los Angeles, and that was Slim's club. So I kind of, I was I played there all the time. Mr. Happen and Harry was always booking me there. And I got to know them, and they said, if you're going to look like this, Rachel, Tashara is my middle name. That was Tish. Tashara. It's a long story. Rachel became, because the record label, blah, blah, blah. My full name is Rachel Tashara Stacy.
You mean the record label tried to influence your name? That's weird.
Yes. Oh, that's a whole other bag. Okay. That's
we don't have enough time for that.
I could have fought it. Said no. That's a whole show. But anyway, when Lemmy and Slim said, if you're going to look like this, Rachel Tashara, whatever, if you're going to look like this, you better know how to talk to the industry. You never stay off the casting couch. Know how to talk to your band. I was a baby. I was new. And I was like, what do you mean if I look like this? And an example is, I love fashion. I love makeup. I'm that girl too. But I'll never forget walking into, I can't say, I'm probably 20 clubs my whole first touring, and them going, who are you with? Who are you with in the band? I'm like, I'm the lead singer. Like they were just shocked.
I get it.
I was the
I
singer,
get it.
and it was, and what Olivia and Slim were telling me though is the closer I got to them, too, it's that there's the stigma in the industry is also, you almost have to like come up with the boys to be part of the
Yeah.
boys. And I was already a tomboy, but I, it hardened me a
Yeah.
little bit because and then I want to be soft. I want to be, and it also affects my relationships because
Of
again,
course.
I become too tough or whatever. But it's also, like you said, it's that male influenced industry that caused me to stand up after all the stuff I told you. There's so much more than maybe stand up and go, okay, so I need to be a good example. I am a songwriter, bottom line. That's what I want to do. But I'm also an entertainer. But I'm an artist with a deep, deep heart that gets very
Right.
affected. And then you add on female and you've got a recipe for disaster. You know what I mean?
Listen, I get it and listening to you, but that's the testament to you though. And I have to say, we are served sometimes platters that are really not appetizing, right? But they also assist us in our learning process. And they have certainly made you stronger. And I love the fact that you're saying, now I lead by example because I too have been shunned. Obviously, not on the level that you have. I'm 6'2" that could take care of myself. If anything, I intimidate people, right? And I'm a teddy bear,
We beat a man.
right? So they see somebody
Exactly.
like you who's very easy on the eyes, also easy on the ears. Of course, a guy's going to get intimidated. And it's a shame because it's not on you, it's on them. It's their insecurities, their inner voids that they've entertained. And if, perhaps they may have been manipulated and mistreated in the industry as well. So you can't even blame them. And that's actually something
Mm-mm.
very synonymous that I teach kids in high school and grammar school on bullying. It's a form of bullying, it's a form of manipulation. There's all forms of
Yes.
manipulation, right? And unfortunately, women get the short end of the stick because of that. But somebody like you who has convoluted those negative moments and has turned it into learning experiences. And now you help assist other females to, let's just say, avoid those missteps that you and I have made in our career, to at least
Right.
educate them and letting them know that it's not you. You're okay. It's everybody else has a problem with themselves. That's what it comes down to.
And you know what's interesting about you just saying that? I just thought about something. I tested it one time on stage. I was so pissed that like
I'm sure. Yeah, of
we're
course.
playing this concert and it was in a casino. It was my early on, and it's a concert. Like there's people around the bill. The ding 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 was in the back, and
Yeah,
I was so new. I was brand new at touring. My band's working
right.
hard, and I was like so mad that nobody's paying attention. That's too loud. I mean, they were paying attention. There was a big crowd right here, but then out there was just so. And what it was, I was showing that on my face, and I could almost
Yeah,
see the people that were sitting right there affected. I remember going, wait a minute, I love what I do. Who cares what you
yeah.
think?
Good for you.
So I meaning that stuff. And I flipped it, Manny, I'm not kidding you. My band and I started having fun. People started coming closer. Of course, the casino didn't change. That was
Yeah, of
another thing.
course.
And then that was another moment where I have so much fun on stage, and it's exuberant. I mean, you become exuberant
Yeah.
and you become a light instead of frustrated with everything
Yes.
around you.
Yes.
And then the audience all of a sudden wants more of what you've got. So that's being the example. And that's what I
Yeah.
mean is it doesn't matter male or female. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, you get more of what you entertain if you focus on it. And I've made that mistake too. I used to focus on the end result. Who's going to be here? Who's going to love
Yes.
us? What record executive is going to discover us? Who's not going to like what we say?
Yes.
And at that time, while I was focused so much on those irrelevant scenarios, I was missing out on living in the moment and actually just enjoying myself because I loved doing what I
Yeah.
did. And that's what I hear from you. And I'm so glad that you said it's very refreshing to hear that because many artists make that mistake. When I was on The Voice, I was trying to tell everybody, will you guys please forget about those 90 seconds that you're going to be performing? You already won. You're on the
Oh,
show. You won. You had to beat out how many people? Just enjoy yourselves. Live in the moment,
exactly.
The best way to predict your future is to
Wow.
focus on what you're doing right now. And the fact that you embrace the
Exactly.
crowd, embrace the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to take myself seriously. I'm going to have a blast with the guys that have got me this far. And we're our own little
Yeah.
family, and nothing's going to penetrate that little circuit of fun, right? And
Exactly.
that's what you did. And I wish most people
Wow.
would do
That's
that.
I want to interview you now. That was so great because it's like there's so that part of like we're just talking about the industry though that or kind of the female thing
Yeah,
though that no I have that whole you're too strong. Remember, I'm a fiddle player, so I was a sideman for a
yeah,
show. I got pulled to the side and told to dumb it down I don't
Dumb
know
it
how
down.
to. I'm just playing my fiddle.
What does that even mean?
I'm up. I don't know. I'm upstaging the lead singer, and I'm just a sideman.
One
I
of
wasn't
those.
jumping in front of
One of
him.
those.
I was like, why? How am I upstaging you? And then here's the other part. I laugh and I run around. I'm so energetic on stage. That's just my thing. Because when I first started the industry, Manny, I was so stressed out. I just stood there and I'd sing and I'd play my guitar and then I'd pick up my violin and I'd make sure the band's playing everything right. And I was so terrified. Now I'm just like, I don't care because I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. God put me here to do music. And guess what? When I do that, they notice.
You just can't care. You got to do you, man.
I try. I mean,
well, you're doing it. You're doing it though. See,
what am I doing?
It's visceral for me. I feed off the audience as well. And you're not going to have a great night every night. I get it. Sometimes you just, but you know what? You push through. You do the things that you have to do, even when you don't want to. And that's part of discipline, too. So, not only did you discipline yourself to say, you know what, this is about me. I'm going to enjoy my time. I'm not going to let these outside influences affect my performance. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember, Rachel, you have a responsibility to the people that do love to see you, the people that are there for you.
Thank you.
Who cares about the naysayers?
Willie Nelson's book. Yeah, Willie Nelson's book says I wish I had it in front of me. The guy that wrote it and said Willie Nelson gave a performance to, and he's one of my bucket list when I get to play with him was like, okay, I'm done. My life is over. It's good. When Willie, it says at the beginning, Willie gives the same show to 5 people that he gives to hundreds of thousands, and that hit me. Bill Mack gave me that book from Willie, and I remember reading that going, oh, it's my responsibility. Even if one person, if I can change their life by my music, that's my responsibility. Here's the thing too. You talk about childhood stuff too. I escaped in music. Music was my escape.
I'm sure.
And so the turmoil at home caused me to be the artist I am today. And the turmoil still between these 2 ears causes me to be the artist today. And if I can touch somebody still with a story or a song, or wow, like friends that I grew up with are like, wow, she's fought so much, then that's my job. And then I die and my gravestone says I died trying.
At least if I could leave this world better than when I got it, I'm good with that. If I touch one life, and I know I've saved lives around the world. I know because I've gotten emails, people that have, refrained from killing themselves, kids, whatever. And that's not the reason why I do things. I do things out of passion, but I do it out of the purpose of uplifting others. But that's why it's very, very important that people like you and myself who are strong enough to understand and to differentiate, right, the criticisms and why they're being brought to us. We could only handle the things that we can handle, right? And, we're given.
I love that.
And my grandmother had this one saying that God will choke you, but he'll never hang you. So that always stuck with me, right? I'm like, you know what? We can handle everything that's on our plate because if we couldn't handle it, we wouldn't be encountering this in the first place. So now we have a responsibility because we can handle this nonsense that's being filtered in the industry.
Hold on. Manny, I'm laughing because yesterday I just said to somebody, God is smacking me around right now saying, wake up. And I go, wait a minute. No, it's more like a chokehold.
He's like, he's like nugging you in here. Right. I get it. I get it. But, let's move on because, there's a couple of things I want to touch base with you. And I know your latest collection of works, you get to work with people that you truly appreciate, and you mentioned Willie Hubbard, right? You call him Willie Lama. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you've had similar.
Wiley Lama. He's the Wiley
Lama. Love that. That's great. And he had similar bouts, and with alcohol as well. So you have that commonality. Now, you look up to him, obviously, and you were talking about the story where you were co-writing a song, then he finished this song for you. Talk to me about that process. And because he met you early on in your career, and you guys didn't start working together until later on, correct? So that's pretty serendipitous, and I love those stories. Tell me how that flourished, how's it going, and when can we expect the releases of this incredible effort?
Oh gosh, this is so it's so cool because it's still, like you said, serendipitous. So almost 11 years ago, I was working with, the short of the story is my dad in the industry him and Ray have been friends a long, long time. I call my dad in the industry, Guthrie Kennard. And I guess I can talk about it now. I needed to get sober, and I didn't know I needed to get sober. And I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. I was just attracting the wrong people. I had songs on the radio. It didn't matter.
Of course.
It was dark behind the scenes. And Guthrie calls me, and I'm complaining about something, and I'm just like, doing my thing. And he goes, Rachie, don't let that sauce kill your dreams. And I hung up the phone, and I don't remember how it all transpired, but Guthrie brought me to Ray. And, everyone knows Ray's story. But and Ray basically had me write down on a piece of paper what I wanted to be, and what my goals are. And so I'm a songwriter. So every day he had me writing. I'm a prolific and award-winning songwriter.
The
Affirmations.
affirmations. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got sober. That was my thing. And
Good
then
for you. Good
so
for you.
last year he called. I actually got paired with him on an event. It was just all accident. Him and Judy were there, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how it transpired. It was such a God deal. And he's like, he calls me and goes, you know what, Rachel? I think it's time that we show the world the songwriter you are, because we had talked about me doing a record with him 11 years ago, and it just never transpired. He's very busy. He works with a lot of people, so I was very fortunate just to get a short time with him. But when he said, let's show the world the songwriter you are, him and Judy are I adore them. I put him on a pedestal too much, so I was like, I want to hang out all the time, but working in the studio with somebody you highly respect as an artist, and seeing what he did to my songs, and that he respected my musicianship, and he respected like my lyrics. He's like, yeah, I love that. You almost, it's like
of
good
course.
job. But it was
it's
like,
a commendation. It's a rite of passage, kind of like, yes, you did this.
Exactly. Like I've worked with a lot of names, okay, but there's something about his soul that is just super deep and real.
It's a connection.
So anyway,
it's a connection you have. I get it.
Exactly. And I think the crazy part is that I ended up with him and his wife are, very pivotal in my life, just especially this last year. But it was like I got to sit down and become a deeper songwriter, even just based on the little tweaks he gave me. Or he'd go in there and he'd sit back in his chair and, Rachel, play that fiddle drone-ish. He's always had kind of a pause before his thoughts, and he doesn't even know this. I've never told him this, but it's like there's that part of me that just goes, okay, what is drone? But I'm going to try it. You know what I mean? But it's always pictured a drone or whatever. But it was, what I mean is I got to sit back in my soul a little bit and become a deeper artist, even at this age. I've been doing this a long time. I've been an entertainer and a cheerleader kind of chick. And the depth of being an artist is not always entertainment. The depth of being an artist is getting our story out there. Back to the beginning of our conversation, is touching somebody's life. And so my songs became much more. So what you have to look forward to is, story, my new video, my everything. But the story Trouble I wrote with Guthrie. Ray produced it and tweaked it. And then my two other songs with him. But the song you're talking about, him and I, that was his song that he brought to me and he had began. And it was going to be our co-write. And he ended up calling me and going,
I finished it. I know. I read that. That's great.
So mad, though. I was like,
what do you mean you finished it? This is supposed to be our baby. No, but I get it. But that's, you know what? That's cool with you because it shows that you have no egos. Sometimes things are supposed to happen the way that they are, and if they bother you, it's because you got to check yourself. You got to take a step back. If it bothers you, if it butt hurts you, right, then you're going to be like, all right, maybe it's me, which in most cases it really is.
Well, I know. Well, think about it. Okay, so Boomerang, I didn't write. Dan Mitchell, Sean Gastaway, and I can't remember the third guy. I always forget his name. I'm sorry. They wrote Boomerang. I went out, and Dan Mitchell is, if you're going to play in Texas, you got to have Fiddle in the band. He's the one who wrote that. Anyway, so I went to Nashville, and I did that song, and it did really well. And so to me, it's just more of like, because my songs are out there too, and they've been on the charts, but not like Boomerang. So when I go out there, I did these songs, and that happened with his song. I went, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As a writer, because I was like, I'm a songwriter. Well, there's your chance, Rachel. I'm now writing my songs, and now I don't get to release that song yet. We had to hold back on, the whole behind the scenes thing with record companies.
Of course.
But my three that he produced, I wrote from top to bottom. And my favorite is Ghost Alicia, which is coming out. But
I know, we don't even have time. I've got like 6 minutes left before I go on to the next one. But that was a really interesting mention because you said the Ghost of Alicia, right? It's a true story. Now, here's the thing I want to educate my viewers with respect to that. And I'll let you finish this, because it's essentially, it's a fabricated story, right? About a black guitar player who falls in love with a white woman, right? Who they both get executed because of it. Now, it's crazy because it's fabricated. But the sadness is that happened probably a million times in our history. Maybe it wasn't documented enough, but I'm sure it happened hundreds of times, sadly enough. Exactly. But the song was actually about you
being in the music industry, right? And it's crazy how there's an equivalence of drama in that. How you basically your career gets executed even before it even starts. So it's kind of sad to even compare those two because they're both separate, right, in their degree
Right.
of sadness, but they
Right.
both have this impact, this negative impact, such a toxic impact on the world. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because the more people that bring it to surface, the more the awareness is spread. And hopefully, the world will wisen up because it's nonsense how much ignorance we have in this world to this
Well, and
day.
I think with that song that you bring up, that song, which is, we're not releasing for a little while, but the cool thing about what you're reading on my bio for that song
Yeah.
is that it's, if you think about the industry and we have those still problems today, the whole song is based on the spirit still lives.
Yeah.
It's going to always live, but I just based on everything, the sobriety, it's come all together, me having almost 11 years of sober, to being an example to other women, to sitting here talking to you, that hopefully I get to touch another woman just by an interview to say,
And you will,
don't,
trust me.
don't stop just because someone tells you you're too old to do the industry.
100%.
If you're an artist, keep doing it. They've given us tools now. Social media gives us tools. Manny is giving us a tool, but it's that every day, and I'll say this, every day, there are days I just want to give up because there's a lot of work to do. There's so much work behind my release with Trouble that it just shows my heart for this industry, that I see why people give up.
Yes.
But mostly women give up.
Yes.
Mostly women and I want women to stop doing that. I want us to stick together and keep doing it.
Good for you. And you know what? I'm releasing I'm releasing one brand new song every 6 weeks. Got 2 in the bag. So when you tell me how hard it is, and I'm a guy, right? And it's still hard dealing with the ignorance. So believe me, I am right there with you. So now, you just answered half the question that I was going to ask you. Now, tie this up. Let us know how everyone could find out more about you, what you have coming in the future, any events, speaking arrangement, doesn't matter. Swag, I don't care what it is. Go.
All right. So September 16th is the release of Trouble. The video is coming out shortly after. The rest of my project with Ray Wiley Hubbard, you just have to stay in touch on my website, social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. I have new swag coming out. I'm very excited about it. I know.
Well, you're a fashion guru. I've been a fashion photographer for 20 years. You know me. I'm like a fashion whore, man. I love it. I really
need to come and shoot with you. I've decided
there you
I
go.
need to come shoot with you. But as far as here's the way I look at it, Manny. I'm going to close with this. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I have rebranded again.
Good.
And so everything is brand new and like I'm a new artist. And even though I'm an older artist, we're not older. We're like fine wine.
Yes.
Okay.
Vintage wine. We age precisely.
We're good with that. But I'm a seasoned artist. But the thing is, you have to keep recreating yourself or recreating yourself, no matter what I've done. So that's where you find me. My website, all the way Spotify. Please add me to your playlist. Apple, Amazon, YouTube. You know the deal.
Love it. I do. Thank you so much for your time, Rachel. It's certainly been a pleasure. Totally appreciate your insights. And thank you for the words of encouragement, especially for the females listening in on the show. And I wish you much luck and abundance as always. And keep rocking.
Man.
Keep
You're
doing
awesome.
you. All right.
I will try. I will do my damnedest, one day at a time.
Quick question. In 2 minutes, answer this question. What's your mojo to keep doing what you do? Go.
I love what I do. And if I can be there for somebody else, that's my mojo. And my biggest thing is if I give up, I will never know if there's a reward at the end.
Love it. Truer words have never been spoken. Thank you so much. You are a true rock star. Looking forward to your releases. Have a good one.
And thank you so much, Manny.
Take care.
Bye.
This has been a Mojo for Musicians podcast. If you're a musician, industry professional, or a voice with a powerful message and wanting to share your mojo and stories of success with our listeners, or simply share some feedback on today's episode, we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email at info@mannycabo.com. As always, much love and peace. Live to inspire. Thanks for listening.